Hi guys, so I have a nice update for you. I finished Whipping Star by Frank Herbert. It was really enjoyable. I really did like how they pulled everything together. And quite honestly, it's been a while since I finished it. I've completed another book since then, so it's not super fresh in my mind. I did enjoy it. It wasn't a really emotionally pulling novel, but it was really, really enjoyable. I do like sci-fi, I think. The more I read, the more I like it. I liked the realizations that came about at the end of this story. The mystery that I talked about, there was a lot of mystery involved with it. The ending was really very satisfying. And the next book I started was Between Shades of Grey by Ruta Sepetys. This is a historical fiction set in World War II about a Lithuanian girl, and I've completed it. And it was a really interesting ride. So it's about a Lithuanian girl who is arrested by the Soviet secret police and is under their imprisoned by them essentially, and it spans about 3 years, I believe, of her life in that time. And quite honestly, it was a very difficult book to read. There was some very harsh realities that were portrayed in this story. It was a really well-written book, and there's a lot of very enlightening things in this story. It wasn't easy to read some of them, but it was so on a story side, it was very well written. It pulled me along. There was emotion. I was emotionally connected to the characters. It had a lot less hope in it than other historical fictions do. Quite a lot less, and it makes a lot of sense considering the setting. But it was still difficult to read. I definitely like a lot of hope and light at the end of the tunnel in my stories, and it was difficult without as much of that. It was there. 100% it was there. It was just light got really dim for a while there, and it was difficult to read during that time. I was not satisfied with the ending, which I think is definitely a personal preference. It felt like the story just cut off. Like there was so much more to tell, but it cut off there. And I do think that the author had her reasons for doing that, but it was a little bit shocking. One of the comments on the cover from the Washington Post says, "Few books are beautifully written, fewer still are important. This novel is both," and I definitely agree with that. And then there's one line that I'm going to read, and I don't want to give too many spoilers away, so I'm going to change it ever so slightly. So, "It is my greatest hope that the pages in this stir your deepest well of human compassion. I hope they prompt you to do something, to tell someone. Only then can we ensure that this kind of evil is never allowed to repeat itself." And that, I think, is really the whole intention of the book, to bring to light things that are not taught in history. I was taught that there was labor camps that under Stalin's reign in the Soviet Union. I was not taught to the extent of what they were. I was not taught how expansive they were. And it was very enriching. So part of the reason why I love reading historical fiction is because it takes events that I've heard things about, like Stalin, his tyrannical reign, the labor camps in the Soviet Union, all of these things, and it brings it to life in quite honestly a very unpleasant way, but a very important way. There's reasons we learn history, and I really like historical fiction for that reason. This book was an excellent example of why we have history. So yeah, I've kind of rambled a little bit about it, but it was a very hard-hitting book. It was a very well-written book, and I have completed it. I am going to be starting something else, I'm not sure what. I'm thinking Ranger's Apprentice Book 3, which is Icebound Land, I believe. Something with ice in the title. And I'll check back in with you guys again soon.
So since the last time we talked, I finished Rhythm of War. I really, really enjoyed this book. No surprise there. I thought that the ending was very interesting, and there was some twists at the end that I wasn't expecting, and from what I'm hearing from going back and watching other people's reviews and stuff, they weren't expecting them either. So I was very, very happy with the ending of this book. There was one scene that I was waiting for and expecting, and when it happened, it was even better than I was expecting it to be. So yeah, I was very happy with how Rhythm of War turned out, and I cannot wait for the 5th book in the series. Also, I loved all the Cosmere connections. I picked up, I think, on most of them while I was reading it. but there was one that I know I didn't pick up on, and then when it was told to me, my mind literally blew. So, that's it for Rhythm of War. But if anybody else has read the Stormlight Archives and the rest of the Cosmere, or any of the other Cosmere, let me know, and let me know if you want to have some sort of video discussing it, or just talk, because Kate hasn't read them. She's only read Mistborn Era 1, and I need somebody to talk to because I have nobody else who has read them all. So that's that for Rhythm of War. I also started and finished The Burning Bridge by John Flanagan, his Book 2 of Ranger's Apprentice series. I listened to this on audiobook, and I'm very glad that I did, because I didn't have time to read this physically. I didn't have time to physically read books at the moment, so I needed an audiobook so that I could keep making my way through, and I did, and I'm very happy that I did, because this was a fun book to listen to, and it was only like, I don't know, 20 hour long book or something like that. So I flew through it because I double speed it, so it was like 10 hours of listening. So yeah, I flew through this book, and I'm very glad that I read it. There's some things that I kind of don't like, but I really like the setup for book 3. So I'm excited for book 3. That's on hold from Overdrive for my library. So I will hopefully get I do own the hard copy. I'm not sure where it's at, but I want to listen to it on audiobook, because that was such an easy and great way for me to just listen to the books. As for Two Towers, I didn't make a whole lot of progress. School has just started, and I'm still trying to get back into the flow of doing school. So I didn't have time for much physical reading, which is where the audiobooks came in super nice. So I haven't finished this yet, but I'm near the end. I think I got like 4 chapters left or something like that. So I'm almost done with Two Towers, and then my next hard copy or physical book will be Return of the King. And then after that, who knows where we'll go. I've got Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes that I need to read, and I've got On the Edge of the Dark Sea of Darkness that I need to read, which I actually got in my physical copy of that. So I think that's about it for my reading update for this week. We will see you guys in a little bit.
I wanted to do my update for you, my reading update. So I forgot to mention in my last update that I started listening to Curtain by Agatha Christie on audiobook. So I went ahead and finished that. I do have the book on hand with me, and I have some thoughts. I didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. It's known as being Hercule Poirot's last case. So I was a little concerned at first that because of chronological stuff, I wouldn't get all the context. And it was definitely fun. Like, as a standalone, you understood it and you got the story. But I think everything would have packed a little bit harder of a punch had I had more context about Hercule Poirot and his character and personality. I didn't love it. I didn't love it as much as I was hoping I would. I struggled to keep track of the characters. There was a lot of characters. I also was not invested in the story for the large part of it. And I was thinking, well, it's an audiobook. Maybe I just need to get a little further. And then something would happen and I'd be like, oh great, this is gonna make me invested, and it just didn't. And so I'm wondering if that's because I don't have that connection with Hercule Poirot at all. Yeah, it was not as enjoyable as I was hoping. The ending was still really, really cool. There was the big reveal where all the answers to all the mysteries were received, and that was great. It was very interesting and not predictable. I kind of picked up on little bits here and there, but nothing. Largely, it was all a surprise to me, which is pretty typical for mysteries. But Yeah, I finished Curtain. It wasn't my favorite. I definitely loved And Then There Were None and struggled with this one a little bit. I'll probably keep reading Agatha Christie, I know, and I'll definitely try some more Hercule Poirot and see if I like his other books better. And then I started reading The Icebound Land by John Flanagan. This is the third book in the Ranger's Apprentice series, and I'm not very far in. I don't know, maybe an eighth of the way through, and I go back and forth with this where I'm like, why am I reading something I don't enjoy? Because I'm not invested in this at all. And it was like that with book 1 and book 2, and I have a goal. I would like to get through book 7. That's my goal. And if at that point I'm not invested, I'm going to stop there because I don't feel the need to push through. There's parts of it that I should like that I'm thinking, wow, this will be great. And they're like 2 pages long, and then they're over, and I'm still not more invested, and I don't know. I mean, I like John Flanagan's writing style. I like the characters, but I don't feel like we see enough of them. I like the characters interacting with each other. So, I don't know. I can't pinpoint what I don't like about it, and that's why I keep saying over and over again, I don't know. But I don't love it yet, so I don't know. I'm gonna keep working through it. I don't think I can get it on an audiobook anytime soon, but I will probably try and get an audiobook, something to listen to on an audiobook, because I do well having both a hard copy and an audiobook. So yeah, that's my progress.
Okay, so since I last updated you, I haven't made a whole ton of progress. I did finish Two Towers, and I started Return of the King, but I haven't gotten very far into Return of the King yet. So should be a pretty quick update. I really just wanted to say this one thing about the Lord of the Rings, and it's that I didn't remember there being so many tie-ins to other stories. So like, he references, I mean, obviously the Lay of Luthien is one of the most well-known references back to the Silmarillion and his other histories. But I was seeing things, and I didn't mark it. I should have, but I didn't. But it was where they were talking about like Turin and some of these other characters, and it was just really cool to see the fact that he had all this world building already figured out when he was writing these books. So I was just very interested and thought that was really cool to see that. That's about it for this update.